The concept of cash stuffing is something that has left financial traditionalists scratching their heads, but it's also something that has allowed countless people to save more money than ever before. So what is it? Today, we'll be taking a look at cash stuffing, along with everything you need to know about it. Let's begin. Cash stuffing is one of the most popular new financial movements and has been spearheaded by Gen Z. It comes as a reaction to the economic volatility that this generation has had to go through, mainly due to the actions of people that came before them. In 2022, Gen Z had to deal with record inflation rates, a housing crisis, and economic stagnation. Cash stuffing aims to be a solution to all of that. So, what really is cash stuffing? Well, it's a strategy where people literally stuff physical cash wherever they can as a form of saving instead of using traditional means like opening up a savings account or investing that cash. Now, I know what you're thinking. It sounds ridiculous. Why wouldn't someone invest the cash that they weren't planning on spending? But there's a very good reason behind it. Gen Z has watched how their parents had to go through a crisis and the pandemic. They know how undependable traditional means of investing can really be. Aside from that, the ROI in the vast majority of the instances isn't really that high. It's usually the lucky ones that make it big. There are various different kinds of ways people stuff cash. The first is to divide up cash and place it inside different envelopes. Each of these envelopes will have a label, such as bills or rent. Keep in mind, the money placed inside these envelopes isn't really meant to be spent unless there's an emergency. This strategy makes sure that whenever you fall short of any kind of bill or rent, you know that there's cash somewhere around the house that you can use for those purposes. Other forms of cash stuffing are a bit riskier. For example, some people will stuff money literally everywhere around their house and try to forget about it. They take this approach because it doesn't exactly require a lot of thinking or stress. There's really no better feeling than to be surprised by some money you stashed away a long time ago, and this is generally the goal people who take this approach try to achieve. Also, when you put your money wherever you can, you're less likely to want to spend it. But whether you take the more strategic approach, which involves placing money in envelopes, or you take the more carefree approach, which involves placing money wherever you can, the goal is the same for both, to save money. Proponents of this movement argue that this isn't something that Gens just came up with. Instead, they believe that this is how everyone saved money before there were bank accounts and stock markets that the average person could visit. Your parents or grandparents probably had a rainy day fund in a jar back in the day as well. That's a form of cash stuffing. Is cash stuffing for everyone? No, far from it. This is primarily targeted at people who have a hard time setting or sticking to a budget. The idea is that you're saving something, but in case an emergency ever arises, you still have something to spend. It's not all too different from traditional forms of saving, but the main difference is that it's just so much easier. You don't have to open up any kind of account, sign a bunch of documents, give away personal information, or do anything, really, to start cash stuffing. It's sort of like a switch you can turn on and start. Generally, the envelope method is the way to go for most people. This is a reliable way of saving cash, since everything will be neatly organized. At the same time, you don't need to do a lot of research or go through formalities to start saving. Most people like to keep their envelopes in one place, like a drawer or a cabinet, and that way they can go through each envelope like files. It's not just young people that are doing this, also the older generation. For example, some moms on TikTok showed off how they have different envelopes for each of their kids' allowances, Christmas gifts, school supplies, new shoes, and more. This can allow the moms to be a bit more strategic with how they budget. For example, if Christmas is pretty far away, they can get away with only stuffing small amounts of cash into the Christmas envelope. This way, by the time it would be Christmas, it would already have enough money to buy the gifts. Of course, you can put however much money in each envelope as you want. A lot of people tend to increase the amount they put in each envelope as the time to open that one approaches. It allows you to plan ahead of time. There's also another reason why people enjoy cash stuffing over traditional savings methods. It just feels better. It helps them control their impulses. For example, when you run out of money in your bank, there's always that expensive little overdraft that you can take out. But when it comes to envelopes, there's no overdraft. You know that when the envelope is going to be emptied, you'll have no money left for that specific expense, at least. This means you're less likely to overspend. There's no extra pot to dip into. So how can you get started with cash stuffing? Well, the first thing you need to do is make a budget. This doesn't have to be as strong as a regular budget, but you need to at least have an understanding of how much money you're going to spend each month and on what. Don't try to follow how other people create their budget, because it's always going to be different for each person. Try to do your own thing and spend a considerable amount of time to come up with your own budget. By the way, this can be daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. It all just depends on what works best for you specifically. The next step is to pick your categories. This is basically going to be all of the different envelopes you'll be making. Try to get the essential costs out of the way first, such as bills, rent, and more. Once you're done with that, create separate categories for things like entertainment, long-term savings, vacations, and more. You should decide yourself how much you'd want to split, say, $100 among all of these categories. Do you prefer to stay home? Feel free to give the entertainment section a larger chunk of the share. Are you looking forward to traveling? Just put more money into the vacation envelope. The goal here is to split the money into all of these envelopes every time you have any kind of disposable income. Of course, you're allowed to prioritize certain things, but the main thing is that you can save for multiple things at once. Another thing to remember is that it's not only short-term goals you're saving up for, it's also long-term goals. Short-term goals could be to save enough for a fun time out. Long-term goals can be to save up for a mortgage or a down payment on a car. Once you have all of that sorted out, it's time to start stuffing cash into these envelopes. It's really as simple as that, and for the most part, it works well. A lot of people feel more motivated to save money when everything is right in front of them. You can do this all in the comfort of your own home, which is why Gen Z loves it so much. To add to that, if you're less financially informed, cash stuffing is a great way to stay away from expensive plans that banks sometimes make you follow. At the same time, there are also a lot of people that don't like cash stuffing. Some people think that saving all of your money in envelopes is just too undependable. You wouldn't be able to easily keep track of how much money is in each envelope. That's likely going to move you off track from your goals. There's also the argument that keeping money in envelopes is simply not safe. What if there's a break-in and someone steals the money? What if you simply lose the money? There is no shortage of faults that people keep finding with cash stuffing, and some of these faults make a lot of sense. Just like any new financial movement, cash stuffing has its fans and critics. If you decide to join this movement, it's pretty important to look at both sides of the picture. Joining the cash stuffing movement doesn't mean all of your financial problems will automatically fix themselves. However, it can help you save money in a relatively easy, fun, and seamless way. Can it make your life a lot better? Absolutely. But is it for everyone? No. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think cash stuffing is a good idea? Let us know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.